Thank you very much. Hi, my name is Robin Sarkar, and I'm the Chief Culprit Officer of this discussion right now. So just to set up the context of the discussion, we are talking about the secondary and higher education in the country. According to the latest numbers from MOE, we are talking about 200 million students who are currently enrolled in higher secondary education. 200 million students is equivalent to population of many countries in the world. And just to put you in context, 200 million students are being catered by 10 million teachers. And these 10 million teachers are being administered by 1 million administrators. All put together, it's one person for every 200 students administrating, managing the whole education, secondary education system in the country. 30% of this whole strata is private sector, 70% is being done by the government. We are talking about 64,000 crores of investment being spent in the country by the government on this. So the journey of this discussion, we have ladies and gentlemen from various fields who have done good and remarkable work in the field of secondary education and education per se. So I will hand over the mic to the people in the panel and request them to talk about their work in the light of secondary education first. And then we will discuss further things within the discussion. Okay, so I can start with the left hand. Ravi sir, please talk about your work and in the light of secondary education.
Thank you, Robin. It's audible, right? So good morning, everyone. I'm Ravi from Raman Kant Munjal Foundation, which is part of Hero Group. So at Hero Group, we execute most of our CSR projects through this organization, and our projects vary from thematic areas like education, skilling, water, women livelihood, financial literacy. Especially in context of today's discussion, in education, we are more focused on remedial education as of now. And, we run various centers in various states where we provide them post-school support to the children for 2 hours in the evening in the villages. And these are only for government school kids. And we follow, their own curriculum, which is taught to them in these schools. Secondly, we also are trying to go to next level of, teaching in the higher secondary now, which is 9 to 12. So that we are just piloting at few places. And apart from that, we do a lot of pilots with the government, So I strongly feel, and we as an organization strongly feel that CSR money should be used only for piloting some of the projects with the government. Not that we can fund the government or fund the projects of the government, because, the scale at which our country is and the funds required are only available with the government, not with any CSR entity in this country. So we try and do pilots for them, and then from there they pick up some of them to implement a larger scale.
Thank you, Ravi. In fact, I also agree with that. The biggest philanthropist in any country is the government, because they have the maximum resources to take anything forward to any scale in that country. So I hand over the mic to Niharika from Khan Academy to share something from her kitty on this thing.
So good morning, everybody. I hope you're having a good morning today. So I represent Khan Academy India specifically. And Khan Academy India is an extension of Khan Academy US. We are a not-for-profit, a Section 8 company here in India. Why do we exist? Why are we here? Well, our vision is simple. It is to provide free, world-class education to anyone, anywhere. And in India, it is to the underserved students. So we work extensively with government school students in India. Many a times these students, like Robin just mentioned, do not even have access to capable teachers and good quality curriculum. How do we operate? So we come in as a supplemental learning material We don't aim to either replace the teacher or the curriculum, but we come in as an added layer to the existing curriculum that the students undergo. We are a practice program and a package of conceptual videos and exercises that the students can refer to after they've gone through the same concept in the classroom. How do we do this? How do we get to government school students? So in India, we work with strategic MOUs with the state government. Today we are working with the state governments of UP, Maharashtra, Odisha, Punjab, and all these state governments and the MOUs with them help us strike the right balance of government intervention, Khan Academy's intervention, and we are totally funded locally in India. So CSR funding is a big source of how we are doing what we are doing. When we go to the government and start our work, essentially we start with localizing our curriculum. So it is in the vernacular, it is contextualized, and it is completely curriculum aligned. We also focus specifically for grades 6 to 12 in maths and science. And to ensure that teachers who are our main unit of intervention are working closely with us, we do a large-scale capacity building program in collaboration with the government. Where are we today? As a result of our efforts, Khan Academy has about 8.8 million learners, activated learners. A large portion of our learners do come from organic segments, but a substantial portion also comes from government school students, which we work through. We have about 9,000 government schools and 20,000 teachers that we work with today.
Thank you very much. I also want to talk about a little bit of education, which I am leading within the Shiv Nadar Foundation. I take care of the Shiksha initiative intervention, which is ICT-based intervention for government rural schools. I will not talk about much because this is not secondary or higher education, but it's on elementary basis. So, but the focus, what Niharika was also saying, that we need to create a model which is replicable and scalable and move forward without constant interaction or constant investment of time and energy in it. So Shiksha Initiative is also a similar kind of a program where we have created this ICT-based delivery program for rural government schools, and the success of the story is that this program has been adapted by the government of UP in 21 districts, benefiting more than 2 lakh students as we since inception, and 11,000 students as we speak. The same program, a similar program for adult literacy, made around 60,000 people literate, from being illiterate to literate, in 120 working days of this program. So this is my journey of the education sector within this thing. But I would move forward to Natasha, and to talk about her intervention in HDFC Credila.
Hi. So yes, I'm Natasha. A very good morning, very good afternoon to all of you. I represent HDFC Credila. We are an education loan NBFC. I hope I'm audible. Okay. And while we are into education loans, our CSR philosophy and objective is to cater to healthcare, education, and girl child development. We have made a conscious effort and focus to ensure that we limit our education funding to secondary education and make sure that it doesn't interfere with the normal business operations. Having said that, while education was and has been a primary CSR objective for years, we were focused largely on healthcare till a couple of years back. Very frankly, when it comes to our overall CSR budget, our scale of operations, our reach, I don't think I can compare with the rest of my esteemed panel. But I think what is remarkable about our journey is just the pivot that we have made towards education, the direct involvement that we have with our implementing partners and each of the schools that we're funding, and just the reach that we've been able to possibly do in the last couple of years specifically. So as I mentioned, we started off with possibly just one education project covering one state, largely in Mumbai and rest of Maharashtra. And our education funding constituted around 18% of our total CSR funds. In 2 years, we've moved on to around 6 partners across 8 states covering 17 schools, and almost 50% of the CSR funding goes towards education. Of course, we have really scaled up our girl child development projects as well. Again, while within education, our emphasis has been largely on academic enrichment, we also realize that academic enrichment alone will not be the only thing that we can focus on for overall student development. And hence, we work largely with direct implementing partners with government schools in areas of teacher training, capacity building, remedial education. Large part of efforts go also towards building strong SDMC networks in each of the schools to ensure long-term sustainability of our projects and independence of these projects after we may choose to exit as well. We invest a lot in community outreach, especially in economically and socially backward areas within the country. We also try to nurture projects that can link with various state and government programs, be it Atal Mission, be it Nipun Bharat program, etc., to ensure long-term sustainability of these projects in future as well. Again, our projects, for us, our organizational learning journey has also evolved over time from direct philanthropic contribution till a couple of years back, which were largely influenced by what our parent organization was doing. Now our projects are very carefully chosen through a very, very thorough need assessment of the schools, of the communities, and target not just academic enrichment, but a host of other issues that would help in overall development of the student community as well. Our projects range from supporting secondary education across rural areas, urban slums, tribal areas. We also are into NIOS programs to get dropout students back to school. We are investing a lot in developing WASH infrastructure. 2 of our projects are specifically for girls' schools. So we work with a girls' school in Hyderabad to develop STEM skill learning for girls' students. Apart from the STEM skills as well, we also have invested a lot in community outreach to the nodal school as well. Similarly, we have also, there are districts where we have seen a very high incidence of child marriage. And we work with government schools in Howrah, where apart from academic enrichment, a lot of investment goes towards developing the sexual and menstrual awareness, a lot of nutrition programs, banking on Anvesha clinics, a lot of government programs, developing WASH infrastructure to ensure that we are able to keep the girl students in school and develop them academically as well. These largely have been our focus areas, and of course we'll talk more going forward.
Thank you very much. In fact, when we start working towards education, and especially the secondary field, secondary and higher education sector, we slowly, in addition to pure academic, move to other social intervention and social issues also, which is given, by the way. Before I move to the next speaker, I just want to tell you one thing. This is the 10th India Summit, India CSR Summit, and the gentleman, Anurag, who is with us, has attended all 10 India Summit till now. This is his 10th appearance. So, sir, your journey of Capgemini secondary education.
Okay. Now, one is that I may have attended 10, but I'm not hanging my boots yet. That's one. I'm not at all seeking the Lifetime Achievement Award either, to say that you are done, dusted, now go off. I'm not leaving my chair. That's one. Second is, and it's been incredible there. I'll be very honest with you. I have come to this particular place with a very selfish motive of identifying right kind of NGOs to work with. And with every 10 summits, this is the 10th being, 2 were COVID summits. And I have identified NGO partners. And that has been my motive to come to this particular place. Not to talk This is incidental, but to get the right kind of people, because we don't get the platform to really meet and converge and identify that. On the kind of work that we are doing in education, the key focus is to reach out to socially underserved, economically challenged. We work with stigmatized and marginalized group. When I say stigmatized, we invest hugely into the education of first-time learner coming from communities like sex workers, families, girls with HIV positive identity, girls who were trafficked, rescued, now in observation home, girls with multiple disability, boys of sex workers, kids from manual scavenger background, nomadic tribes. The whole idea is that can we expose them to the education and help them unlock the opportunities which are there. That's one bit of work that we are doing, and this is primarily in the primary education space there. On the secondary and higher secondary, the focus primarily is on, again, equipping them to move into their education journey and not stop it there, and use the CSR fund so that they don't have to come and take loan, and ensure that they fulfill the dreams that they are having there. So we work on STEM education. We work on bringing in, we started our journey with adopting schools, and we adopted schools, 500 plus schools, and the larger aim was that can we make these schools look like a school, and where simple things, and I feel embarrassed when I talk about it, simple thing, making sure that the school blackboard has black in it, making sure that there are no nails popping out from the desk, making sure that none of the wires are hanging, making sure that toilet is toilet, making sure that they have a water which is drinkable, making sure that the environment conducive for education to happen there. So that's one bit of work that we did, and we are very proud of the work that we did. But we are embarrassed to talk about it, because in a country like us, we have given least importance to the public schools. We are least bothered because our kids are not studying there. That's the logic there. That's what we have done. Once we have graduated from there, then we started investing in setting up innovation labs there in government schools. And I feel very proud that some of our kids from government school competed with Dhirubhai Ambani International School in robotic competition. Though we failed to win the medal, but we went up to the level of final. The only reason that we failed because as they told me that, sir, हमारे पास robotic का arena नहीं था. And then I checked that how much it cost you to get an arena there. They said that 5 lakh rupees, 8 lakh rupees. And we are now setting up the first arena for government school kids in Noida. And give us a few more months, we'll have arenas in each of these cities where we are working. The whole idea of our work is making sure that these kids get level playing field. Because I don't try to romanticize education there. I'm not into the whole gamut of कि number important नहीं है और ये important नहीं है और वो important. End of the day, they have to compete with the same mainstream ways of evaluating your progress there. And our aim is to ensure that the government school kids get everything in their place so that they can compete with. And I feel there are schools. One of the dreams that I had when I started this particular journey working in the government school was that, can I have some of the government school with waiting list there? Waiting list of admission there. You go to a private school, they'll say that there is a waiting list there. There is one school at Chennai, Kandigai. If you all go there, they have around 300 plus waiting list of kids there. When we started our journey, they had around 300 kids there. Now they have 1,300 plus kids there. There are kids who have moved out from private school to this particular school. Now they are looking at building 2 more or 3 more classrooms there. And what we have done is that school has Wi-Fi, that school has CCTV cameras, that school has innovation lab, that school has robotic center, that school has STEM lab. The whole idea is give them the opportunity that they are seeking, and that school also sent 5 of their girls to Nagasaki University. They were invited by Japan government through Nagasaki University to come there and showcase the work that they are doing in the school there. And they became role model, these girls. We did another study with this particular girls after 5 years of they going to Nagasaki. Their community are still talking about it. That makes me feel immensely hopeful that if we put in our might, all of us who are sitting on this particular dais and all of you who are there in this particular audience, we can change these government schools. And the moment we change these government schools, I will always say that we'll break the vicious cycle of exclusion that these kids everyday experience. मेरा हमेशा मानना है प्लम्बर का बच्चा प्लम्बर नहीं बनना चाहिए. If they want to be, it should be their choice. Choice कहता है कि नहीं मुझे प्लम्बर बनना है, well आप बन जाओ. लेकिन it should not be forced to take up certain things, forced to study in one particular place just because you don't have the wherewithal to do that particular thing. And that's what we are aiming to do through Capgemini.
Thank you very much. Amazing
Robin, I
journey.
just want to add to Anurag here. Just give me a quick second. So, Anurag ji, what you're saying, we are doing as a corporate CSR budgets, we are doing all this. And so you make difference to 2 schools, we make to 10, you make to another 10. So everybody pitches in. But the problem is in India, the challenge of government schools is the scale is so high. We can only do pilots and show it to the governments. So the transformation we do in schools, those particular schools are running fantastically. How do that gets replicated? The problem there is the mindset. The mindset of the government body, you call it teachers or principals or the departments, we need to somehow convince them also. Like I make sure when we are doing an experiment in any school, we go back, tell the government, ये देखो आपके school में ये हो रहा है, why don't you replicate now into this block at least, if not the district or the state? So we
Then they'll say that, why don't you give money to
yes, the next answer comes that only, कि आप दे दो ना पैसा और लगा दो उसमें. So, but that's not the solution, So, but I strongly feel that our bureaucracy in India today is, I deal with a lot of IS officers, and they are very intelligent. They are the best, educated people in our country. They understand this. They have willingness to do it. But I don't know who's stopping them. I would stop here. Who's stopping them, I don't know. But they asked me when we work very closely with them, they would implement it, but they need funds. They definitely need funds.
Definitely. In fact, in our experience in Shiv Foundation also, replicability and scalability is one of the prime factor for any intervention to be taken up by the government and scaled at level. And also just remember that if we create as an NGO, as a philanthropist, as a social worker organization, if we are creating a solution, it needs to be passing the replicability and scalability format. And we are not creating, you got stuck in there, but what kind of solution which you have employed to overcome
so
those?
I have a small list of solutions, So starting with, first developing the children's mindset towards the education. We all forget that when we go to rural India, the parents themselves are not educated. They don't promote education. So the education is not promoted at their houses. In all our urban settings, we promote education from the birth of our kids. बच्चा पैदा बाद में होगा, नर्सरी का एडमिशन के लिए हम पहले भागने शुरू कर देंगे. That doesn't happen in the rural India. So the mindset of parents we need to change first there in the rural India especially, and develop the interest of children as soon as they start coming to the kindergarten. Secondly, infrastructure, definitely we need to provide them decent infrastructure, the school fans so that the kids can sit and study. Thirdly, I would say reforms in the curriculum. We are still at 70 years curriculum at a lot of places, but I'm very happy to say that the new NEP policy has started addressing that. So which has already started, which is very good sign. Then the teaching tools and technologies, now we need to transform ourselves to the digital world. So we need to take the digital smart classes to our villages also, to our major population, which you said, you gave the numbers in the beginning. The maximum government schools. How many you said? I don't remember.
And 200 million students.
Yes. So that major chunk lies in the villages. So we need to have infrastructure, digital infrastructure there. And lastly, we have felt in our project, we've been running a project of remedial classes for last 15 years, and we were running like one-way project. Just about 2 years back, we started doing PTMs at those centers in the villages. And trust me, it has done remarkable difference to those village kids. It was not happening in the government school, but we started doing at our centers. So the parents' engagement, we saw a huge transformation. I mean, our teachers' job became much easier when we started doing PTMs. Convincing and, so some of the mothers have started devoting time to the kids.
Great.
So parents' mindset.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So this is what we have seen over here, that is more of a personalized approach which you have taken up and addressed the local issues so that those kind of challenges can be addressed at the local level. From local to the global, if I talk to the world's most famous teacher in the world, what kind of challenges Khan Academy faced, and what kind of solutions which you have employed to do that, overcome that?
Thank you. I think if you look at students who come from government schools and the kind of education and the kind of backgrounds they're coming from, and you compare it with students, kids of ours who come from private schools, you'll see that there isn't a gap, it's a chasm, right? One level is here and one level is here, right? It's a chasm. And this chasm can only be bridged and done quickly through scaling technology. And that's where Khan Academy really comes in, right? And when you talk technology, I mean, I'm also, a skeptic in some parts. The first challenge that comes to mind is, okay, you're talking technology, how are you going to provide devices? How are you going to provide internet? What about the digital infrastructure? So that's the first challenge. And the second challenge is, how are we going to ensure that teachers are able to embrace this new way of teaching and learning, right? So these are two big challenges that are there. Now, how do we bridge these challenges? And I'm going to not talk about how we bridge them just, theoretically, but give you a couple of examples. So we have a school system, the KGBV school systems. To understand the school system, these are all economically backward societies, children coming from those...
Kasturba Gandhi?
Yes, Kasturba Gandhi Balika Vidyalayas. And many of these girls had not even seen a computer when they joined the school. And these girls, it's a school system which works for grades 6 to 8, and it's a residential school system. And in this school system, what we saw was, when we entered it 2 years ago, that there wasn't too much devices, there wasn't, so much internet penetration. But 2 years hence, the school system, which consists of about 60,000 girls, 50,000 of them are on our platform activated students, and about 24,000 of them on a weekly basis are using the recommended dosage in math. So that is how, an intervention can work. Now, how did this intervention really work? It came through a confluence of government intent and strong bureaucratic interest and intent. So what Pahuja ji was saying a few minutes ago, I think it's absolutely right. And what's stopping political and bureaucratic intent, we don't know, but once it's there, there's nothing stopping a system. The second thing is strong, supportive partners who can help us scale this intervention and give us the space to do innovation, try different things. So our capacity building program for teachers went through multiple iterations. It doesn't happen only at the teacher, but also goes at the administrator level. We believe in not just, training them in one go, but doing sustained, continuous professional development for teachers, which goes throughout the year. And administrators are made our main partners. So there is an administrator layer as part of the as part of the education system, make those your partners and equip them with data. And data, not just insight, but also with nudges. Help them, figure out how they can take action immediately, and you will see that the system moves. So that's been our experience.
Thank you very much, Niharika. One thing which I would also like to add over here, that which I often talk to my team while developing solutions for rural UP, that don't get mesmerized with technology. Today, technology is many-fold than what it was yesterday. And many things can be done through technology. I mean, you can walk into the classroom and get your attendance by Face ID also. But for that, to enable that, in a rural setup, you need to have a lot of backend in place. And the more you add the layers of technology, or the more you get mesmerized with the technology thing, the more backend which you need to create. So don't get mesmerized with technology. Keep it simple. Keep it useful. Keep it simple, so that when you are applying it, when you are training people, when you are mentoring, adding mentoring layers, so that they are not getting confused, or they are not saying to the teacher, ये भी करना पड़ेगा. ये आपके benefit के लिए है, और वो अपने आप आना चाहिए. User intuitive होना चाहिए. Right? Thank you. And moving on to the next speaker, Natasha.
Okay, so talking about the challenges, and let me start with this most basic one. I think Ravi mentioned that about the mindset. So let me start with an example of possibly one of our biggest failures that we had. So ASEMA is one of our flagship NGO partners, wherein we work in a tribal school in Igatpuri. It's a state-of-art facility. It looks like a hill station. It possibly has the best infrastructure, really great pedagogy. However, we have a student there. Her name's Reshma. She doesn't have a mother. Her grandparents are her primary caregivers. She, because of the fact that she walked barefoot, she developed an infection in her feet. And the infection became so serious that she's supposed to go through a surgery. It's a gangrene. Through ASEMA's help, there was medical intervention done. They arranged the surgery, they arranged the funds, they got everyone involved. However, the grandparents refused to sign off on the surgery. It's been 1 year. The girl is wheelchair bound right now. ASEMA and we are still trying to work with the grandparents and the authorities to get them to sign off on the surgery. And that failure is a lesson for all of us that all our efforts need to continue. This is age-old, gender barrier. This is age-old superstition. And the fact that, in spite of everything being in place, and yet this could be a girl who, can be wheelchair bound for her life. What's the solution? Right now, we're trying to work with the child line to get the authorities involved to possibly get the surgery done. But that's the challenge that we are actually dealing with when it comes to mindset. We spoke about the need for interventions in government school. Even within government school, what we realize is that there's a stark difference in quality of education with from the urban schools versus the rural schools. Some of our interventions in the rural schools have been largely on the foundational literacy. And especially during the COVID years when the academic interventions were almost stopped, especially for the rural students, we realized that there's a stark learning gap for students who transition from primary to secondary schools. One of our interventions in Kajit is with Light of Life Trust, wherein we have teacher implants specifically for maths and English skills. Again, while students have been extremely happy with the remedial classes, the government school teachers have been, kind of, not happy, and there's been a pushback as to, why additional implants needed. And we realized that there needs, apart from just the remedial classes for the students, there needs to be a lot of capacity building, a lot of involvement of the teachers. So the use of technology, as you said, cannot be the end goal itself. It needs to be integrated with a lot of capacity building of the teachers to make sure that, one, the teachers are not fearful of technology, and not just technology, any additional intervention as well, right? Because the pushback, directly comes because of fear of their own livelihoods, obviously, right? And hence that, brings to the next challenge of how do we build capacities, how do we invest in teacher training. And one of possibly the best examples that we have is the work that we possibly do with Muktangan. Again, it's an urban an urban project wherein Muktangan adopts municipal schools and they deploy their own teachers. What Muktangan does a lot and what we are really proud about our association with them is the teacher training program. So some of the things that we spoke about, community engagement. I think this was a great model of a circular engagement. So a lot of the teachers who go through the teacher training program are ex-Muktangan students. A lot of them are parents of Muktangan students as well. And the strong teacher training coupled with a very, very strong community engagement has ensured that the students stay in school. We're able to possibly push the best of active constructivist learning theories there. And, it's seen in the kind of academic results that the school sees year on year as well. Moving on, some of the other, I think, Ravi, you were talking about the lack of involvement from the government organizations, right? We spoke about developing strong SDMCs in schools. One of the SDMCs that I was earlier referring to, we had a lot of pushback because it was a male-dominated SDMC and felt that the intervention in menstrual health was completely not needed. And we realized that, we had to go back to the BDO, work very closely with BDO, and ultimately, of the 3 schools, we stopped working with one of the schools because of the pushback from the SDMC. But the schools that we continued with had SDMCs who were completely integrated and aligned with the overall objective as well. And for us as well, it has been a learning journey. We've gone through some trials and errors as well and realized what has worked and what has not worked for us. And, possibly, while our interventions are at a smaller scale, we have made sure that, through our direct involvement, we've been able to really make that difference. Again, our challenges are also internal to us. As I mentioned earlier, again, our initial interventions were largely philanthropy-driven, and not really linked with, proper impact assessment. So we've realized that, for some of our projects where we may have been investing in for a long time, we never did a baseline survey when we started the projects. So to show an impact over the years has been virtually impossible. And for us, it has meant that, for all our new projects, we do a very, very strong baseline survey to make sure that we are able to build that impact and are also linking very strongly with all the government programs that we can to ensure long-term sustainability of these projects as well. So yes, that's from my side.
Thank you. Having a baseline, having a research acumen is very important while creating a solution, especially a sector like secondary education, where the education, when you are interacting with students, also spill over to social issues.
So again, Anurag, you mentioned about government schools looking like schools and having washrooms in schools. We invest a lot in wash programs, and just last point. And we realized that a lot of schools that we are trying to develop wash facilities have already possibly washrooms which have been sponsored by other corporates. However, while they have beautiful tiles, washrooms don't have water. The flushes are broken. And hence, for us, when we go back to those schools, our intervention would be not just in repairing those, but making sure that, we also deploy something as basic as, cleaner on our rolls. Make sure that, we invest in year-on-year maintenance so that we don't go back to the same dilapidated washrooms after 5 years.
Thank you very much. And huge round of applause for her for doing that. Thank you. Anurag sir, आपके experience and आपके challenges followed by आपने क्या solutions use?
There are 2-3 things. One is that key challenge is the mindset of CSR heads also. One of the mindset is that I'll go dump things, move out. So we have used government school as a dumping grounds. पुराने computer, पुराने printer, whatever is purana, let's dump it there. तो कहीं पर नहीं जा सकते तो इधर जा दो. The second is that there is no concerted effort to influence the educational level of these schools there. तो अपन एक बार जाते हैं, फोटो लेते हैं, WhatsApp में डालते हैं, Facebook में डालते हैं, Twitter में डालते हैं, काम खत्म हो जाता है हमारा. That's the key problem that I have these days with the CSR heads there. And I always say that CSR needs to be treated with some amount of respect by the corporates also. You can't put anyone who has failed everywhere to become CSR head there. कि अगर कुछ और नहीं किया तो ये तो कर ही लेगा वो. So that's one particular thing which I strongly feel. I did it for this clap only. And that's one of the challenge that, and I pity sometimes the NGOs who are trying to deal with them, because you have a grassroots issue, you have a challenge there, and you have a guy who doesn't understand what the other guy individual is saying. Third is the whole, sometimes the NGOization of state government, no, that has happened in Delhi in a major way. I'm speaking in Delhi only. 10 स्कूल उठाओ, उसको चेंज कर दो, फिर बोलो कि सारी दुनिया बदल गई. You go to so many schools there in Delhi and you'll find that there is an abject neglect of the schools. It will only change, and I say this with utter disgust sometime of the way things are, and all over India. I'm not at all talking about one particular state. Till we start sending our kids to government school will remain like this. We are not sending our kids, bureaucrats are not sending their kids, the politicians are not sending their kids to government school. Unfortunately, government schools in urban areas are becoming a real estate का वो prized crown है वो. They want the school to fail so that they can clear off that particular space and develop that particular thing as a real estate stuff there. Rural areas में अभी भी government schools are surviving because there are community connect there. Urban Indias के अंदर में we are just using it. Go to Mumbai. All the corporates are there in that particular place. Everyone is saying that we are spending so much money there. Toilet बनाते हैं, photo लेते हैं, बात खत्म. Computer देते हैं, ribbon काटते हैं, बात खत्म. You ask them to एक teacher डाल दो यार, एक बंदा डाल दो यार, then they'll have a problem there. Niharika is sitting here. Everyone is saying state is doing, state should not, state को पंगा state. अरे, they are asking 5 crore rupees to develop a software यार. If government is saying, if everyone is saying that government is the biggest philanthropy, then there are 5 crore किधर गया? You're taking so much money there.
With intention also.
Huh?
With intention. With
no, Chief, my point is, and that's the reason why I sometimes feel that we are not organized. Yes. This particular sector is so fragmented that we are not raising our voice to say that, hey, this is wrong, this is right.
Sir, what should be the solution to this?
Solution is, I'll say, forum like this. Out of the end of the day, we should come out with a declaration. It should say that Delhi declaration is 2023 is this. Why everyone is talking about COP29 or COP28 or COP27? Because state came out and made a declaration there. This is the right time for this particular society to make a declaration saying that, hey, I want you all to do this. 24 में voting वैसे करेंगे. Then only, otherwise no one is going to listen to you. Everyone, health, education. We call ourselves a welfare state as per our preamble of the constitution. The greatest example of being a welfare state is how much you are spending on education and health. Look into your expenditure in education and health. Look into your public health. Look into public education. We feel ashamed of you being a welfare state. That's the greatest challenge there. And as a collective, my solution is that this particular group should get organized. But पंगा इस group के साथ में है, NGO के साथ में, we fight bitter battles than BJP and Congress. हम उससे भी गंदी लड़ाई लड़ते हैं. तो एक को आगे बढ़ने देंगे नहीं. तो organize तो होगा कैसे ये?
Point taken. Point well taken. And huge round of applause to all the speakers and their experiences. And thank you for sharing your experiences. I quickly move to questions. In the interest of time, we'll take around 3 questions. 2.5 questions. 2 questions. 2 questions. 2 questions only. A lady at the back with she's standing there. Please hand over the mic to her. And one from just right behind you. Sorry. Yeah. So we are open to questions after the session also. We can have...
Sir, can I? जितनी देर में मैं भेजूंगी उतनी देर में मैं बोलूंगी. Sir, मेरा आप लोगों से जो क्वेश्चन है वो शायद बहुत लोगों को भी नहीं पसंद आएगा, क्योंकि मैं जो बात करना चाह रही हूँ वो ये कि जो हम 60 करोड़ वुमेन हैं, खासकर अगर हम बात करें तो 30 करोड़ जो गर्ल्स हैं।
थोड़ा संक्षिप्त रखिएगा प्लीज, संक्षिप्त रखिएगा।
सर मैं एक आंकड़ा ज़रूर देना चाहूँगी, क्योंकि उसके बगैर काम नहीं चलेगा। जब हमारी आज़ादी हुई थी, भारत की आज़ादी हुई थी, तो 12% पे महिलाओं का हक था, और आज देखें तो पिछले 75 साल में हमारे पास अब 22% है। अभी भी 24% महिलाएं केवल अर्निंग है। वर्किंग सारी महिलाएं हैं, दुनिया की भी सारी महिलाएं और भारत की भी हैं, बट अर्निंग केवल 24% है। अभी हम देख रहे हैं कि इकोनॉमिक से पूरी दुनिया का हाल है कि जो क्लाडिया ने कहा कि जेंडर गैप है वर्कफोर्स में, तो भारत जबकि आज से 24 साल बाद डेवलप कंट्री होने जा रहा है, तो उसमें बगैर नारी चेतना के जागरण के या इस माइंडसेट को चेंज किए बगैर, जिसमें कोई भी फैमिली अपनी लड़की के एजुकेशन पे पैसे खर्च नहीं करना चाहता, खासकर अगर हम हायर एजुकेशन की बात करें तो कोई पेरेंट्स राजी नहीं है, वो लड़के पे खर्च करेंगे क्योंकि उन्हें पता है लड़की की तो शादी करके भेजना है। तो वो चेतना जागरण कैसे होने वाला है, क्या फ़र्क होने वाला है खासकर रूरल सेट में, कि जिससे महिलाएं आगे आ पाएँ और 24 में हमारा देश वास्तव में विकसित हो सके, तो वो माइंड सेट या चेतना जागरण कैसे होगा खासकर एजुकेशन सिस्टम के अंदर, खासकर तब जब आज भी बच्चियों को पढ़ाया जा रहा है CBSE बोर्ड में, सर CBSE बोर्ड में कि मम्मा की रोटी गोल है, पापा का पैसा गोल है।
पॉइंट टेकन। एक और सवाल लेते हैं।
मैं अवादा फाउंडेशन की ट्रस्टी मिसेस रितु पटवारी बहू हूँ। मेरा सवाल से है जो राइट लेफ्ट में है, उन्होंने अभी कहा कि CSR वाले आते हैं, फ़ोटो खिंचाते हैं, स्कूल में खाली करते हैं। तो मैं ये पूछना चाहती हूँ कि ये ज़रूरत क्यों पड़ती है? आज आप सरकार जो है टीचर्स को सैलरी देती है 60,000, 70,000, उसके बाद भी वो काम क्यों नहीं ले पाती है?
ठीक है,
आज कॉलेजेस में आए, सरकारी कॉलेजेस में एडमिशन लेने के लिए क्यों ये जरूरत पड़ती है? जो
क्वेश्चन आपका एस्टैब्लिश हो गया कि जरूरत क्यों पड़ती है।
My request always is that if you ask a question, no, the moment you bring in rhetoric there, you loses the essence of the question there. Okay, I'll answer the question there. Okay. One is that stop blaming teachers. My request to all this audience is that stop blaming government school teachers. Those guys are doing everything. Census, आदमी का census, जानवर का census, toilet का census, they are doing everything except education. So we are forcing them to do everything and then we are blaming them. That's one. Second is that none of my parents are a teacher, so मुझे ऐसा नहीं है कि मैं टीचर कम्युनिटी से आया इस कारण उनकी पढ़ाई करनी है मुझे. But I am being very candid here. This is one particular community which is maligned a lot in all these forums, saying teachers अपना जॉब नहीं करते हैं. 50,000 रुपए मिलते हैं आजकल, एक बाइया को मिलती है 50,000 रुपए. People are earning. Point is you need to look at their calendar, the kind of check the amount of work that they are doing. I am also not saying all teachers are saint. No, there are काबिल कलाकार teachers हैं जो कलाकारी कर रहे हैं. But I can't paint all the teachers like this. There are fabulous teachers there. Fabulous. That's one. Hold on. I didn't interrupt you while you were asking question. Don't interrupt me. That's one. Second is, आज बेटियों के अंदर में जब बात करते हैं ना, there is a huge interest आज की तारीख के अंदर में हो गया है, जहाँ पर लोग ये कहने लगे हैं कि लड़कियों को भी पढ़ाओ, क्योंकि people have realized one particular thing कि लड़के इधर उधर हो जाते हैं, बेटियां फिर भी परिवार के साथ रहती हैं. ठीक है, I am talking from myself only. लड़के इधर उधर हो जाते हैं, बेटियां आज भी अपने माँ बाप को संभाल रही हैं. And that is happening in rural areas also. People who have started investing in the girls' education. चीजें बदल गई हैं. I am looking at India from. My request to all of you will be that don't look at India from the lens that we were having in 1990s and 1995. Things have changed drastically. But India is huge. ह्यूज है, इस कारण से प्रॉब्लम ह्यूज है. तो हर जगह अब मुझे अपने सामने में सोल्यूशन नहीं देखा, इस कारण से सोल्यूशन नहीं हुआ, ये भी बात सही नहीं है ना. विल हैव टू बी ओपन देयर. थोड़ा ऑब्जेक्टिविटी लानी पड़ेगी जहाँ ये कहने के लिए चीज़ें बदल रही. बट ये भी नहीं कि इंडिया स्वर्ग हो गया. आज भी दहेज के लिए लड़कियाँ मारी जा रही हैं, आज भी एट्रोसिटीज हो रही हैं, आज भी पे पैरिटी नहीं है, आज भी उनके साथ में द अमाउंट ऑफ एक्सप्लॉयटेशन दैट दे हैव टू अंडरगो इज हैपनिंग. बट देयर आर अदर साइड्स ऑल्सो. But if I look at what was the status in 1990 and what is the status in 2023, huge difference there. And we'll have to acknowledge
So
that.
Anurag ji, in summary, you know, Robin, in summary, the change is happening, but it's taking a lot of time.
India is third after Egypt and Europe. Third country is India, where males are being physically, assaulted and abused.
अच्छा, थैंक यू वेरी मच गाइस, बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद आप लोगों को हमने सुनने के लिए. Thank you very much to all the panelists for sharing their experiences and sharing your heart to the public. Thank you very much.